Welcome to Library Connection. Thank you for joining us on Library Connection. I'm Mandy Cantrell, Youth Services Director at the B.B. Comer Memorial Library here in Sylacauga. Before I get started, I want to thank Chris and everyone here at TV47 for allowing us to put on our program to share with you events and people connected to the library. Today, one of the library's very good friends, Laura Campbell, is joining me today. She is one of the founders, or I guess one of the first members of the Library Foundation Board. So,
it's quite an honor.
Well, we are so excited. You are always such a good friend of ours, and we appreciate over several years you've been involved. So thank you so much for being a good friend of the library.
Well, thank you.
Great.
I've actually been a friend of the library since as long as I can remember.
As long as you can remember. We were talking just before we came on, and you said, I always remember going to the library.
Yes.
I don't remember a time that you didn't.
No, I really don't.
That is wonderful.
It was always important in my family.
That's great. Well, tell us about yourself, kind of growing up here.
Well, my name is Laura Campbell, but before I married, I was a McGraw. My parents were Dewey and Catherine McGraw. My grandmother was Maudie McGraw. They owned Maudie's downtown. There were 3 different locations during the years. They were in business over 50 years.
Oh, my.
So I grew up in a retail store, and I grew up downtown. It was different back then.
Mm-hmm.
People weren't quite so afraid, and I was allowed to walk up and down the streets. And Daddy would let me go to the bank to make deposits or get change and go down to the, sometimes they'd send me down to the dime stores, Woolworth and Elmore, to get zippers or thread for our alteration lady.
Okay.
And alterations were free back then. A lot of things have changed.
Goodness. Yes.
But anyway, with the exception of about 8 years, I guess I've always lived in Sylacauga. I was born up here in Sylacauga Hospital.
Yeah.
I went off to college for 4 years out of state, and then for about 4 more years I worked in Birmingham at Parisians before I got married. And I married Bill Campbell, who had a law practice already set up here in Sylacauga in '75, so we moved back here. And this is where we've raised our 3 sons. And it's been a wonderful place. But the library, to be honest, has been a part of my life as long as I can remember. The old library, as you remember, looked like this.
That's where the museum is now.
The museum is there now. But this was the old library. And I'm going to have to be honest and say it was a lot smaller, but it was also not as friendly toward children, maybe, because the librarians were shh.
Oh.
And
we try not to do that.
I know, and it's just a different feel to the library today. But it was wonderful for me. I learned respect and these kind of things.
That's true.
And one thing I remember is the children's book section back in the back, but also the little water fountain out front because it was so tall. Somebody built little wooden steps that you could climb up, so we always had to go get water from the water fountain when we went to the library. Daddy was on the library board and served for many, many years, and my mother constantly read to us. That was the big thing with her. Most every afternoon, we'd have to compile in her bed and read stories. And we didn't have computer games and things like that. We played outdoors a lot, but we read a lot. And then when we were reading age, she insisted we read books. I enjoyed books. My brother enjoyed comic books.
Oh,
and I think
it's reading.
Yeah, as long as it's reading. And I think today you have graphic novels, which appeal to little boys a lot more because that's what they're more interested in. I was more interested in historical novels. There was a series called Betsy and Tacy that I read. I doubt you have many more. Mild Heart Lovelace was the author. But it started out with Betsy and Tacy. They were best friends at 5 years old, and they grew through the years till the end of the series was Betsy's wedding, which, you know, being a little girl, I just loved that. And of course, I read the Nancy Drew books and those series too and everything.
They're still read today.
Yes.
Not as much as when I was little.
But they were great books.
They are.
And Mother allowed me to get a library card when I was about 7, the summer I was 7. And I felt so grown up. I mean, it was better than getting my driver's license at the time. It was just, it meant I was mature enough to handle it. And she gave it to me to teach me responsibility, which I learned very quickly because I was kind of bad about overdue books. And back then they charged 2 cents a day. But, you know, you go a week or 2 and 2 cents a day adds up, and I got like $1, $1.50 allowance. So that, you know, really ate into my allowance.
When you have to pay your own fine.
Yeah, I had to pay my own fines, and
Yeah.
if I ever lost a book, I had to pay for that. That only happened to me one time. But anyway, it was a good experience, and I encourage young mothers and fathers to read to their children. It is so important. I really am grateful to my parents because they instilled in me a love of reading, which I still have to this day.
That's wonderful.
And I read to my own children. We read a lot of times twice a day, in the afternoons and then before bedtime every night. And so I think that's a real, I can't stress that enough, how important it is to read to your children. One of my favorite poems is called The Reading Mother. And some of the words are a little antiquated because it was written 100 years ago or so. But it was written by Strickland Gillian, The Reading Mother. And I'll read a little bit of it. It said, I had a mother who read to me that wholesome life to the boy heart brings, stories that stir with an upward touch. Oh, that each mother of boys were such. You may have tangible wealth untold, caskets of jewels and coffers of gold. Richer than I you can never be, for I had a mother who read to me. And I think that's so important. Anybody at any station in their life can go to the library and get free books and read to their children. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to buy a lot of books. They're there. And you've got books of every interest, every level. And the illustrations are so cute. There's another service that is called Storyline Online, where they have famous actors that read stories to children. And one of the things I like about that is when they show the title of the book, they tell the author and the illustrator. And I think that's important. And I think when you're reading a book to a child, always read that. Make them think about the person that wrote that book, and especially about the person that drew the picture. Some of these books have beautiful illustrations.
Yes, they do.
And that helps instill a child an ambition toward artwork, and the author part maybe helps them want to become a writer. So I think those things in the background help a lot. So Storyline does that. They promote both.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, I know you enjoyed you said you brought your boys to story time.
I did. The new library down here opened. The one I went to was the one down there by the high school. But the new library opened about the time my first child had their first birthday. I remember the date. It was in March. It was about 2 days before his birthday. And we went to the grand opening. And it was such a wonderful, splendid, big building. I mean, it was just incredible for Silicaga. That was really a very proud day for this whole town. And that's where I took my children to check out books and to attend the story hour. And they love story hour during the summer. During story hour, one time, I was down there waiting for them, and I could hear the children in there laughing and interacting with the person that was giving the story. I was just wandering around the children's department. And I looked around and I thought, we've got all this space. We could use tons more books. And it bothered me. I thought, we need more children's books. We had lots and lots, but there still was just so much more space now.
You really see it with the large room.
Yes, it was so spacious. So I talked to my daddy. He was on the library board. Daddy thought it was a good idea, and he talked to Harry Brown Sr., who was president of the library board. And so they invited me to come to the board meeting, and I went, and they thought it was a great idea and told me to go for it. Well, we didn't have Facebook back then or any kind of social media, and it was a little harder to get the word out. So I just started soliciting my friends. I typed up some information and would pass it out. I'm sure they got tired of seeing me coming at the baseball games and the soccer games and the little gymnastics class that they were in. But I kind of hit up all my friends, and a lot of my friends did. I donated books in honor of my children on their birthdays. We called it the Birthday Club. And I think you found one.
I did. I found one. I tell you what, we're going to pause for a commercial break, and we'll be right back and talk a little bit more about the Birthday Club and look at this picture. Thank you.
Adult Activity Center offers the senior citizens in the Sylacauga and surrounding areas lots of fantastic activities throughout the week. Sewing, ladies bridge, quilting, game-orama, ceramic classes, bingo, travel club, and lots more. It's all at the Maxie Veazey Senior Adult Activity Center located next to the J. Craig Smith Community Center in Sylacauga. Don't spend any more time alone. Get out, make new friends, and have fun.
Coosa Valley Medical Center, one of the top 10 hospitals in Alabama, is also Sylacauga's largest employer. Services from the emergency room to surgery to cancer treatment to post-stroke care. You won't believe what's right in your backyard. It's Coosa Valley Medical Center in Sylacauga. So, if you're sick in Alabama, choose one of the top 10 hospitals in Alabama. That is Coosa Valley Medical Center.
The all-new Marble City Pharmacy in Sylacauga is your destination for the highest quality health care. Our remodeled and expanded pharmacy gives us the space to serve more patients. We've added a drive-through window for those times when you don't feel like getting out of your vehicle. And we still offer delivery within city limits. We feature a full line of over-the-counter medications and supplements. And don't forget our stunning new gift department. New building, same great people. Marble City Pharmacy, here for life.
Welcome back to Library Connection. I'm talking with Laura Campbell, who is just such a good friend and a longtime friend of the Comer Library. We were talking about the birthday club. Yes. You said you started, and I found a book.
Oh, which one?
And this is The Fisherman and His Wife, and inside is the book plate. It's Birthday Club, book given by Brooks Friday on his 8th birthday, June 13th, 1983. There it is.
There it is.
So you just encouraged your friends, right?
I did. I went around and Molly Curry donated some books. I donated some. And one of the most touching moments of my life, several years ago, my grandchildren were here. They wanted to go to the library. We got a lot of books, about 30 in this big book satchel.
Thank you.
Yeah, because my little granddaughter picked up books and my grandson picked up books. And we took them to the lake. They wanted me to read them a story, so they piled in my bed, and I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth, getting ready for bed, and all of a sudden I hear this, grandmother, come here, quick. I thought, what? So I went in there, and Davis Larmer was jumping up and down on the bed. She opened this book up. She says, look, it's got my daddy's name in it.
Oh, how sweet.
And she handed me this book, and it said, in honor of Taylor Campbell on his 7th birthday, March the 27th, 1985. I had forgotten all about it. Well, that ended the story right there because she jumped off the bed and they went running in the living room, found Taylor. Taylor couldn't believe it. He really didn't remember it either.
Sure.
So we wound up with Taylor reading them that book that night. But it was a big thrill to them. They really liked it. And then another time they brought books home and the plate said that it was dedicated to my daddy.
Yes. We have that.
You
I don't
wanna
have
show
the
that?
book, but we have the book plate.
Right.
And the birthday club that you started has now changed into people giving books in honor or in memory of someone.
Sure. Dr. Shirley Spears has mentioned to me several times that she credits me
Yes.
with starting that, and I never thought about I helped start that. I just thought it was a wonderful idea.
There it is.
There's the book. This one was donated by Ted and Shirley Spears in memory of Mr. Dewey McGraw, who's my father. And that was a book that we picked up. My little grandson checked out, and I was reading, and I just got real teary-eyed.
Oh.
And I'll tell you something, if you've ever donated a book or been the recipient of being honored or your loved one being memorialized, the letters that Dr. Spears writes are just beautiful.
Yes.
She writes the letter to the families telling them of the donation, and I've saved them through the years. In fact, I've told Shirley that she needs to teach letter writing because she's so good at it. And those letters mean a lot to me, and they mean a lot to the families. And so to this day, I do a lot of books to honor people, or especially in memory of people that have passed away.
It's a lasting thing.
It is.
Me. Yeah.
But I've been real pleased. I only have one son that has children, but I've been really pleased that he reads to them.
Oh,
and that's been a tradition he's done for years.
Yeah.
And there was a special book that I had bought them called
this
Dance
one?
Me Daddy, because he did dance around with his daughter. That book has the most beautiful illustrations and the sweetest story.
It does.
So I've
And there's Taylor.
yeah, there's my son and my granddaughter Davis Lauren. He was reading her. She's 17 now, and she told me last year when I was visiting her. They live in North Carolina. She said that was her favorite all-time book.
Oh.
And so we had described the front of it, for them. And it's just a really neat book. So I bought that one for the library here. In fact, I donated that book recently in memory of a good friend of mine who passed away suddenly, who was the father of 3 daughters. That was a wonderful father. And I bought that book in memory of him.
I brought a few more books that you have donated. You can do it. This was your garden club.
Yes, our garden club donates books.
Yes, A Year in Flowers in memory of Dolores Hall.
In memory of
How
Dolores
sweet.
Hall from Magnolia Garden Club.
And a book on flowers, very appropriate for a garden
And
club.
I donated a book on flowers in memory of Jo Hightower when she passed away because she loved the art of flower arranging.
All right. I'm going to bring this one up in just a few minutes in our
Okay,
last
all right.
segment when we talk about that. But that is one, I can't tell you how many books in the library are bought in memory or in honor of someone.
That just makes me feel wonderful.
It is wonderful, and it does. I've done it for people,
Yes.
and they come back with the letter from Dr.
yes.
Spears and say, "Did you read?" And I'm, yes,
Yes.
I got a copy. And then when I open a book and see, "Oh, somebody bought this in memory of my mother," it's very special. It's a very special,
It is.
especially for people that have everything.
Well, it's a lasting memorial.
Yes.
I mean, I can send flowers, I can do other things, but this is a lasting memorial that stays in the library, and it's a really neat thing.
Yes, it's great. Now, you've always lived in Sylacauga, well, except for those few years away, and
Yes.
thank you for coming back to Sylacauga and raising your family here.
It was a great place to raise children.
It is, yeah. And you've always been active. I know you work Mahdi's, I know, and I've bought many dresses at Mahdi's.
Yes.
Boy Scouts.
Yes. Well, I did the Cub Scouts. We filtered them into the Boy Scouts, but we were in that 10 or 11 years. And I'm real proud to say all 3 of my boys made Eagle Scout, as did several others in their age group. We worked hard at the Scouts.
And church and garden
And
club.
PTA.
Yes, I forget school. Yes, all of
yes,
that.
PTA, I did a lot of work with that. And all my children went to the local schools. They were all born here in Sylacauga Hospital, just like me, and they attended all the local schools.
Wow. Wow, that's great. One thing I want to go back. I'm looking at my notes now. We were talking about the birthday club. I talked to our director, Tracy Thomas, just, talking about having you on TV and everything. And she said, you probably don't realize how many thousands of dollars have been raised with something like the birthday club and how that kind of changed into books in memory and honor. She said this type of fundraising helped to renovate the library in 2003, helped to pay for that renovation in $25 gifts.
Yes.
And $25 increments. Hundreds of thousands of dollars were raised to make the renovation.
Right.
So every little bit helps.
That's another thing I did in 1991 when they started the foundation.
Yes.
And Dr. Spears was the librarian at that time who was training Tracy.
Yes.
Tracy was in waiting at that time, and Tracy's followed in her footsteps, doing a beautiful job. But in 1991, they started the foundation, and I was real honored to be asked to be on it because Dr. Spears saw the needs for more funds as we continued to grow the library, to obtain more materials and furnishings, because it was a big building. And even though they had a lot of donations, they still needed more and more and more. And the foundation helped make the addition of that auditorium.
Yes.
But that was another sort of grassroots effort. I personally mailed out letters to all my friends about joining, signing up for the foundation. There was different levels of contributions, and we received a lot of seed money for that, which the foundation has built on.
That's great. We appreciate all the work you do. You have done, and you're continuing. You still support
I do it behind the scenes.
But it makes a big difference. So even
thank
small, like what you may consider small things, make a very big difference.
Well, small things do add up, I suppose.
They do. They do. Well, we're going to pause for a commercial break, and we'll be right back and talk some more with Laura.
There's a lot in life to smile about. Are loose dentures or missing teeth keeping you from enjoying the things you love? Don't miss out on enjoying life's precious moments. You can be you again with affordable mini dental implants. You can smile again, laugh out loud, and have your self-confidence back. Let us help you make it memorable.
I'm Dr. Rick Redmond. Call me today for a free consultation and give me the opportunity to change your life.
Great. What am I going to do now?
Time to visit Brown's Auto Collision.
No problem at all. We've contacted your insurance company and we can get you back into original condition right away. And I just want to remind you that all of our work is covered by a lifetime warranty. We're done.
Wow, that was easy and looks great.
Brown's Auto Collision.
Where quality is no accident.
The all-new Marble City Pharmacy in Sylacauga is your destination for the highest quality health care. Our remodeled and expanded pharmacy gives us the space to serve more patients. We've added a drive-through window for those times when you don't feel like getting out of your vehicle. And we still offer delivery within city limits. We feature a full line of over-the-counter medications and supplements. And don't forget our stunning new gift department. New building, same great people. Marble City Pharmacy, here for life.
Welcome back to Library Connection. I'm talking with Laura Campbell, a Library Foundation original member, and we're talking more about the foundation. We're talking a little bit about that, right? You were talking about the money raised and what it's been able to do.
The foundation has just been miraculous. We have umpteen patrons and donors, and I was real thrilled recently because my husband managed for us to be able to do a chair.
Yes.
At the library, and that meant a lot to me. We've been wanting to do something for a good long while. And I'll be honest, I can't think of anywhere I would rather make a big donation like that than the library, because we serve so many people.
Right.
So many people in this town and surrounding areas benefit from our library.
You are so right.
So I think it was 2003 when the library actually moved out. Y'all came uptown to this, what used
old
to be,
Western Auto.
Oh, used to be the old Western Auto. Now it's the dance studio. And I know that was a monumental task. To move, you had to cull and take what was most important, and you stayed there a year and a half or 2 years while they renovated the library, because Dr. Spears at that time saw the need for the big auditorium. They were having brown bag lunches, and the room only held 60 people, and they had people couldn't get in. So they built that big auditorium and added all the big meeting rooms and a small little kitchenette for serving refreshments, which has been wonderful.
It's wonderful,
And those rooms are utilized all the time. It's just absolutely wonderful. And also through the donations from the foundation and people in town, y'all were able to add to the computer labs.
Yes.
And that's a constantly changing addition and expense because the technology is always changing.
Oh, yes.
And the library has been on the foreground of keeping up with all the trends. It's amazing what they have down there.
We try to. A lot of people come in to use the computer, fax, scan.
Yes,
things
make
like
resumes. And that's another thing I do want to point out, which is important to me. The library has the most wonderful employees.
Oh.
There's not one soul down there that won't stop what they're doing and help you at a moment's notice.
Well,
and they're also sweet and kind and very knowledgeable. So take advantage of the sweet librarians down there. They all are great workers. And when they finally opened back up, it was really exciting. And I was even able to get Daddy, he was in the nursing home by then in a wheelchair, but I was able to get a van and bring him. And that was exciting for him. It meant a lot to us to be able to tour the new building. But y'all have added the genealogy library. You can archive the historical periodicals and newspapers, and you've got plenty more books and expanding all the existing programs. The Story Hour has just been expanded tremendously under your direction.
Well, thank
Sensory
you.
programs.
It takes support.
Well, you have now, and I've attended some of my grandchildren, more science, educational programs. You've had entertainment magicians.
Yes.
I mean, you've done a lot with that, so it's just completely expanded. And the children's book section upstairs is absolutely fabulous. We can always use more books.
That's right.
If your child has a birthday coming up, donate a book.
Right.
But anyway, the library is full of art paintings and marble sculptures, and those Avondale artworks are priceless. And the computer lab's changing a lot. There's a lot going on. And
we're not just books.
no, you're not just books. There's so many services that you do.
And I do. Before we're out of time, I want to talk about thank you and your husband for the generous donation, which allowed our memory lab to open up. This was a vision I think that Tracy had.
She did.
And I'm just going to read really because this explains kind of what it does. The Memory Lab is a free service that provides equipment for digitizing home movies and scanning photographs and slides. The service is do-it-yourself, meaning we provide step-by-step instructions, but you control the process from start to finish. It's on the second floor. You can make an appointment with Samantha Match and she can take care of it. There it is. The free service was made possible by a generous donation from Bill and Laura Campbell. The Memory Lab was supported in part by the Library Services and Technology Funds awarded to the Alabama Public Library Service by the Institute of Museum and Library Services. That's a lot of words there, but our director wrote the original grant to get started with the lab, and then your donation allowed us to finish it out. And it is a wonderful, it's a small room upstairs, and how wonderful to be able to preserve photographs, home movies. I don't even understand all the way it works, but Samantha does. So make an appointment. She can help you, and she doesn't sit and watch your movies. You can do it.
Right.
You know, she'll help you get started. But how wonderful to share, like you have maybe one photograph you'd like to share, but you have 3 boys.
I know, and I have tons of VHS tapes that we've never digitalized. When they first started working with it, I think it was Elizabeth, wanted to experiment, and I had some 8mm movie film. And they were nervous. They were afraid something would happen to it, but I wasn't even sure what was on it, but we don't have a camera to show them anymore, so I hadn't seen them in years. Well, the first one they did was my 2 little babies when Bradley was little and Stuart was Taylor was about 18 months old. He's feeding this little brother, and it's hilarious. He sticks the bottle in and then he wipes his face. He sticks the bottle in and he wipes him with the diaper. And they did that for me, and I just cried when I saw it because I had not seen that in like 30 years or so. So those are just wonderful things, and I have several I want to take down there and do myself.
Good.
I really
we'll do that.
But we were thrilled to be a part of that. It was Tracy's idea. When Bill was the one that approached the library about wanting to do something, and he wanted to do it in my honor, and I pitched it. So your name has to be on it too. And we didn't really care about having our names on something. We just wanted to do something
That's
beneficial.
what we wanted to do to honor you,
right.
to thank you.
Well, and I appreciate it, but it wasn't necessary.
Oh, well.
But anyway, Tracy talked to Bill about that, and that sounded wonderful to us. And we intend to keep supporting it as new technology comes out. We'll be there to help y'all get it.
Good. Well, thank you.
And we're committed to that. Now, the big issue is if I can get my pictures organized to get down there. I have a lot of friends that have already started using it.
Yes.
They do ask for an appointment, and I've had some questions about that, Mandy. The reason, and I noticed you can do it online now.
Yes,
you can request appointment online. I think it's probably faster to call the library.
Yeah, either way. Yeah.
But the reason they do that is because they are not actually converting these for you. They're teaching you how to do it. And you have all the privacy you want in there. They're scheduling one group at a time, one person at a time. And you have about, is it 2 or 3 hour session?
I'm not really sure.
I know it's at least 2 hours.
And I hate to say, we're out of time.
Oh, goodness.
You'll have to come back another time.
I could talk all day.
Thank you, Laura, for joining
me
on
welcome.
Library Connection. And please come see us at the library.